Washington, Democrat Doug Jones has won Alabama's election for the U.S. Senate, scoring an upset victory in a deeply conservative state against a Republican candidate who was backed by President Donald Trump, U.S. media said. Jones, 63, a former federal prosecutor, prevailed over former State Chief Justice Roy Moore, whose campaign was dogged by allegations of sexual misconduct toward teenagers. Jones, a former prosecutor who mounted a seemingly quixotic Senate campaign in the face of Republican dominance in the state, defeated his scandal-scarred opponent after a brutal campaign. The upset delivered an unimagined victory for Democrats and shaved Republicans' unstable Senate majority to a single seat, possibly making it harder for Trump to advance his policy agenda. Jones' victory could have drastic consequences on the national level, snarling Republicans' legislative agenda in Washington and opening, for the first time, a realistic but still difficult path for Democrats to capture the Senate next year. It amounted to a stinging snub Trump, who broke with much of his party and fully embraced Moore's candidacy, seeking to rally support for him in the closing days of the campaign. Propelled by a backlash against Moore, an intensely polarizing former judge who was accused of sexually assaulting young girls, Jones overcame the state's daunting demographics and deep cultural conservatism. His campaign targeted African American voters with a sprawling, muscular turnout operation, and appealed to educated whites to turn their backs on the Republican Party. Those pleas appeared to pay off Tuesday, as precincts in Birmingham and its suburbs reported heavy turnout throughout the day, and Jones ran up a commanding lead in the state's other urban centers. The abandonment of Moore by affluent white voters may have proved decisive, allowing Jones to transcend Alabama's rigid racial polarization and assemble a winning coalition. To progressive voters here, Jones' victory marked a long-awaited rejection of the divisive brand of politics that Alabama has inevitably rewarded even as some of its southern neighbors were turning to more moderate leaders. At an election eve rally in Birmingham, Jones cast the campaign as just such a political crucible and alluded darkly to Alabama having opted in the past for a path that has not been productive. Grouping his embattled opponent with other specters of Alabama history, Jones urged voters to avoid new humiliation. "We've got to make sure that in this crossroads in Alabama's history, we take the right road," Jones said, adding, "We've lagged behind in industry. We've lagged behind in education. We've lagged behind in health care." The campaign, originally envisioned as a pro forma affair to fill the Senate seat left vacant by Jeff Sessions, now the Attorney General, developed in its final months into a referendum on Alabama's identity, Trump's political influence and the willingness of hard-right voters to tolerate a candidate accused of preying on teenage girls. Jones, 63, best known for prosecuting two Ku Klux Klansmen responsible for bombing Birmingham's 16th Street Baptist Church in 1963, offered himself chiefly as a figure of conciliation. He vowed to pursue traditional Democratic policy aims, in areas such as education and health care, but also pledged to cross party lines in Washington and partner with Senator